All right, Julia, I'm going to run to the bathroom real quick, but we are ready to go. So whenever you're ready, I'll just start. I'm already in his eyes. Yes. You have the link? Oh, you can go in. You can go in his eyes. There'll just be two of us. Oh. Because you can just change your name. So it's under webinars, I think. Yeah. Yeah. Yep, that's it. That's a CNC router, so it actually does carving with a drill bit. All right, so you should be a co-host. I'm going to make you the host. So you should be able to share your screen and everything. I can wait because once this gets going, you can do whatever you need. Okay, so if we are ready, you ready? Okay, there we go. All right, so we're going live on Facebook. Hi, everyone. My name is Jennifer. I am the manager of I've Squared here at the New Haven Free Public Library, and we are super excited to have Julia here, our entrepreneur in residence, to talk about productivity and the productivity mindset. She's going to be doing a great presentation. If you have any questions whatsoever, you can put them in the chat on Facebook if you need it, or on Zoom if anyone is on Zoom, and in person, obviously raise your hand. We are going to get started whenever you are ready.
All right, so good afternoon, everybody. I am Giulia Gambale, and I am the entrepreneur in residence here at the New Haven Free Public Library. As Jennifer had mentioned, just a couple of things before I get started with the actual presentation. If you are interested in office hours, talking to me one-on-one for half-hour periods of time, you can find my office hours at New Haven Free Public Library website, which is nhfpl.org, and I'm actually going to pull that up really quickly so you can find it. I'm going to share my screen, and I'm just going to walk through. So if you could nhfpl.org. And then for you as an entrepreneur, EIR, CIR, right on the left-hand corner, that's me. Meet the EIR. Go to Calendly, and that will show my availability. So this is how you can get me through the office hours. All right, so I'm going to start the presentation. This is on productivity and integration. And I've actually been doing this with a business colleague, Rick Callahan from Creative. My company is the branding, and I also run Digital Media Sync. I've been doing that every Tuesday, but now I'm doing it different days and different times. So I just want to make sure everybody online can hear me, and I will get started. And we have hi, Meredith here. So this is actually a hybrid. So I'm working with people in the actual space and then here online. So I will get questions from clients oftentimes about what kind of productivity apps are useful to me and my work or can be useful. And what I wanted to talk about today before I talk about the applications was actually getting into the mindset of productivity. And I think in order to do that, we really have to step back and take a look at what it is that we want to do. So first and foremost, I wanted to say this is maybe something that people know already, that productivity for the sake of productivity is pointless. It's basically, why are you driven to do the work that you are doing? So I want us all, both online and in the class, to take a moment to kind of think about what that is. And I see that there's a notebook here. So you want to make notes on, just remembering. I know when I get into the dregs of the day, the daily activities, the tactical stuff, I kind of forget where I am and just like dive into the work, and I really get immersed in it. Or I'll get very, very distracted. So those are like the two extremes. So I think just taking a moment and just checking in with yourself on why you're driven to do the thing that you're doing. And so basically what I usually have people do is just take 3 to 5 minutes, and I'm not going to do it right now because of the way that we're running the class. But just throughout, I think thinking about and writing little notes on the side of why is it you do what you do? I know oftentimes us as entrepreneurs or as business owners, we started something because we had a passion for it. And we're really excited about it. And I think if we check in with ourselves and see if we lost any of that excitement, if we've kind of forgotten what we're doing, if things are distracting us, or if things are stressing us out. Oftentimes when we're running a business, we're an entrepreneur, if we're writing, if we're creating some sort of art, we're worried about other things. We're worried about paying the bills for the business and paying the bills for ourselves. So I wanted to say that, we started this not because we were interested in being stressed all the time. The stress of the work. You make a choice to be an entrepreneur because it's exciting, because it exercises our mind, because it's supposed to provide us freedom, whether it's financial freedom or having the time to do what we want to do. And I know in the very beginning, of entrepreneurship, we get a lot of, very late nights and early mornings and lots of coffee. But as long as we continue to have that fire, right? So hard work and due diligence in the very beginning of what we're doing alleviates future chaos. So that's my takeaway when I start thinking about how I want to create my productivity kind of timeline and process. So this allows you to achieve more of why you do what you do. And I just wanted to mention too, if anybody has any questions as they're online or in person, just leave the online questions in the comment section and I'll be able to see that. I'm actually just pulling up my presentation on Facebook right now. So I knew. Yeah, did it not go onto Facebook? That's okay. Should I start over a little bit for Facebook? I think. Ah, okay. Oh, I'm still sharing too. Oh wait, I hit the live on Facebook by mistake. Yeah, right? Yeah, do you want to do that? Did I make you a co-host?
No, that's okay.
Yes, you can go live. How do you use Zoom? How to go live on Facebook, as well as the productivity. I'm streaming it to mine, and then I can invite you as a host. Or are you already a host? Yep. There we go. You're right here. More. Make co-host. Yes. I feel like we're in an endless loop right now. There, I can do a presentation and the technology behind it. All right, so go back to sharing my screen. And boop this over here. All right, and then I'll continue. Okay, so this is where we ask, what is one of the most common productivity tools? And I'll give everybody a minute to answer that. If you want, yeah, you don't have to. Oh, you're okay. Yeah, I used to use Microsoft Access and Microsoft Excel, right? But basically, it all comes down to what? Notes and lists, right? You have checklists, you make notes of things, you calendarize things, you schedule. It's basically just all notes and lists. Okay, but what is this missing? I guess it could be a rhetorical question. So it's integration with your specific needs, right? Oftentimes when we use productivity tools or when we use a calendar or a schedule or make notes or lists, we really don't integrate everything into a process, right? So then we'll stop doing what we're doing in order to keep ourselves focused and organized, thus productive. So it's easy to get stuck looking for the right tools to make us productive. The real question is, how do we integrate tools into our lives works for productivity? So how do we decide how we're going to use each of these tools and how we're going to train our biggest tool, our brain, to work through this process? So this really talks about how to have a productivity mindset. So one of the things that we ask in our class usually is, what does being productive mean to you right now? So I want people to take a few minutes to think about this. And whether you're watching this right now, you can talk about it in the comments section, or if you're seeing this later than November 15th between noon and 1, go ahead and put in the comment section. I'd love to hear what you think and how you feel being productive means to you right now, because it really does mean different things to different people, right? But ultimately, it means just getting things done in a timely manner. Now I see. You can comment if you wish, or you don't have to comment. Yeah. Right. How we. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's absolutely right. Can I say your name? Meredith? Yeah, and Meredith's here with me. She's in the actual in-person class, and was saying that from the perspective of an entrepreneur or an artist or a writer, productivity really is about sales, right? It's about how you're going to be making money. However, the relationship ends up going to be ended up making new money or producing a sale. So I want everybody to just take a few minutes and define what your real world current workflow looks like. As you're doing this for yourself, I can talk to the people online so there's not dead silence. My current workflow usually is I'll get up first thing in the morning, get myself coffee and breakfast, take a look at the news. That's part of my workflow. When I'm looking in the news, that's actually kind of training my brain to think about what's going on in the world and how I interact with the world, whether it's business or personal, that sort of thing. So I can consider that part of my workflow. It also triggers ideas for me. What are some ways that I can make sales in different areas? The second thing I do, obviously, is get myself into a work setting. So that could be either working from home. What does it look like for me to be in a work setting? Or if I'm coming here into the library, where do I seat myself so I'm ready to be productive and do work? My co-working space, getting into a work setting is part of the productive flow. Then I look at what my calendar looks like. I might do that the night before just to kind of, again, train my brain to understand that there's going to be certain things I'm going to be doing at certain times. Those times I'm going to be focused on either my business or something other than my business. So I'm going to have to think about what that means to me. The other periods of time are work time or rest time. And rest is very important in being productive. I think a lot of people don't think that when they're resting, they are being productive. But if you're taking 20 minutes to eat or to take a walk, and you're resting your brain, that is actually helping you be productive. So take all of these things into consideration, both your actual work time and your rest time. All right, we're not going to be able to do this breakout session because we're all online and I don't know who's online, but this is something that we really can discuss with yourselves, or if you have somebody near you. So assess, where do you spend your time in the workflow? What areas need less of your attention and which areas need more of your attention? And it's really important to understand. I'm going to take a moment to kind of like have a side conversation about this, because many of us, I have children, they're grown, but being a parent was a big part of where I was spending my time and what needed attention, more attention, and what needed less attention. So I had to understand as a parent what it was that I had to do in order to make time for myself to actually do my work. And that also includes being a fur parent, right? If you have dogs or cats or goats or chickens or whatever it is, you're taking time out of your day to take care of things. So understanding that as part of your daily flow. So I'm hoping too that you'll be able to, I know that we recorded this for Zoom. This is on Facebook as well. So you can kind of take a look at this over and over again. And if you need to continue to ask yourself these questions, I usually do. Probably, I'll check in with myself once a month, once every 3 months, and just see where I am with things from the perspective of how productive I'm being. So people like to have simple, easy steps or little tidbits of information. So what I like to do is think about steps for integrating a productivity mindset. There's 3: prioritize, declutter, and standardize. So what does that mean? If you're integrating a productivity mindset, the first thing you're doing is prioritize. And we've been talking about prioritizing for the past probably 20 minutes. So in prioritization, you're thinking about what constitutes urgent versus important. How late do you actually work until, and can you kind of pull back on the time that you're spending on work, on doing busy work? Do you need more personal or family time? Again, this is a very important consideration because, again, when we're thinking about running our own business, getting out of the corporate world, whatever it is that we've decided to do, oftentimes people who are saying that they want to run a business because they want to have more personal or family time, and it is possible to do that. It took me 12 years, but I did. The next step, once you've kind of figured out what your prioritization are, is to declutter, right? And oftentimes I'll say things like, I want to declutter my own brain. There's too much going on in your head, and that's why we try to write all of these things out. What it means here in the online world, or in the computer world, is to remove apps from devices that aren't helping with productivity. So my tip usually is, if you have apps on your phone or platforms on your computer that, especially if they're expensive, if they're apps or platforms that you're paying for, right? If you haven't used them in 3 weeks to a month, probably not going to be using them at all. I know in my line of work, which is actually 2 tryout applications and 2 tryout platforms, so I can talk about them with clients and with other people. I'll have platforms and apps on my computer and my phone that I'm definitely not using. The other thing is, I remember how I was saying how I look at my emails first thing in the morning. I don't want to be looking at 50, 100, 1,000 emails in the morning. That's just going to depress me, right? So what I usually try to do is clean out my inbox completely. I use Gmail, and this is just an example. And what Gmail does is it will let me know when I haven't opened up an email in quite a while. So it's like, you keep getting emails from this organization or this business or this promotion. You haven't opened it. Do you still want to keep it? And I'd be like, no, I do not want to keep it. Having the power of no is amazing. So clean out your inbox and organize everything into subfolders and label it. There's a question.
No, I just,
Oh,
Roger.
yeah,
Because that's a way to go. Yeah, just not as much.
right.
So I wrote an email, but I only 50, which is, and then I unsubscribe from
Everything. Yeah. And it's easy, right? Oftentimes I know that what people will do if they are trying something out, they'll actually send the a subscription to a different email account than their main account. So you have like an account where it has all your like spam or junk or things that you're just trying out. So clean out your inbox and organize into subfolders, and then organize and declutter your physical space so that you feel motivated and ready to focus. I know when I get to a point where I'm sitting in a physical space, I will literally, my office partner has told me this. I will walk into the space and I'll look at my desk and I'll just say, I have to clean this before I can do anything. So if that's the case for you, leave me a note or a like or something on the Facebook page, because I just want to make sure that I'm not the only one that's doing this. I know I'm not the only one that's doing this, right? Okay. And then create standards operating procedures. We know what this is, right? Many people, SOP and rules. So take your priorities, right? The first thing we said we were going to do was prioritize. What do we do to prioritize every single aspect of our life so that we can focus on our work and actually be productive? And that also means just doing a little tiny bit of review before we get to this SOP part. And you'll see why once you know what your priorities are. And I wanted to go back really quick to this one right here. A, when you prioritize your time spent, what constitutes urgent versus important? I want to think about that for a minute, right? Because the things that are important are the things that are going to, as you said, Meredith, help you make a sale, right? When we get to the point where things are constantly urgent, we're not being productive. We are being stressed. So if we come in every day, and believe me, I do it quite often as well, this is urgent. This needs to be done right now. It's saying I am stressed and there's something within my system and my process that is not working, because we shouldn't be having urgency all the time. Urgent means urgent. Yep, and urgent all the time is stress. So if we go to what's important, what our priorities are, and build out step-by-step processes to follow, and then commit to following. And again, the one tool that's the most important tool and also gets in our way all the time, this is why we have apps and platforms, is our own brain, right? We commit for a period of time and then we let things distract us, and then we get stressed, and then we get to urgent. So we want to make sure that we don't get distracted, stressed, and go to urgent, that we prioritize, declutter, and standardize.
Go back to those.
Is it this one? Yeah. Yeah. Prioritize, declutter, and standardize. And I'm allowed to play this really loosey-goosey because I have this so organized that I'm like 30 minutes in and I'm almost done. So this is where we are right now. So this is standard operating procedures, SOP, or just a process, right? So if you're a writer or an artist, what does your process look like? When we're a little bit more corporate or a little bit more business oriented, it's a standard operating procedures. And this is really helpful too, especially when you have employees, or if you don't have employees yet and you're trying to figure out how to delegate and when to flip the switch to, I need to hire these people because this is another thing. Not everything is a priority. You lose meaning in the word when everything becomes a priority. So take your priorities and build out step-by-step processes to follow, commit to them. And then B is notate any disruptions and problems that will inevitably distract you from following the processes that you create. And again, you can think about, well, even things like, I keep putting my lunch off. Why do you keep putting your lunch off to get work done? I'm not sleeping at night. Why does that happen? What are things that are in your process that's making it difficult for you? And a lot of times it's as simple as, you know, I'm putting too much on my plate. Everything becomes a priority and I can't be productive and everything becomes a priority. So understanding the things that you are good at and that are going to help you, and then understanding where you have to delegate.
I think.
Mm,
And this is. That should be pointed. It's like if they say, you know, and they're going. Whether they want.
yeah,
That you have
more
a
often than not,
conversation
people are going to
about
say no. Yeah,
Their decision.
exactly.
So it's a
That's
good way to
so
keep your
true. That's so
You know,
true.
I just. I think they're doing not a Pulitzer Prize. I think. Papers, and what do you do? I saw your.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. But. On a webinar. A lot of people are watching.
Oh, and trying to do, right. Yep. I mean,
The most important. The most. Regardless of what. Is how the hell. Whatever that space is. That's like really.
right.
Yeah.
So now that we've done all of these things, hopefully, we're ready for productivity tools. And I just want to say too that, so here's example tools for integrating productivity. This is the list of top productivity tools in I think it's in the iPhone app store. We're all done. Good luck. There it is. No.
Oh.
It's like, what? But I do want to kind of talk about how to find the right tools to integrate into your organization. So we talked a little bit about processes, we talked about management, we talked about prioritization, decluttering, that sort of thing. And in the very beginning, we had talked about what are some of the things the areas that you need help in. So we kind of put together some of the areas that people often say, right? So time management and calendars, that's a huge one. Financials and reporting, can really go down rabbit holes there, especially this is like not my strong point, right? Everybody has a not very strong point. File management, again, if you have a messy space, if you can't find things. Project and task management. So project management really is what are the things that need to be done. Task management also means not just what are you doing, what kind of tasks are you sending out to people to do. Communications and collaboration, again, that's a really, really big one. I know for me, when I was looking at what my prioritization was, and decluttering, it was really in the communication collaboration space. The more that I have space for productivity, the more that I can communicate with people and collaborate with them. I'm collaborating with 5 different people right now who have businesses that are similar to mine. I understand where I am in my business and what my talents and skills are. I understand and have researched what theirs are. I've seen the way that they work, and how it fits into each of our productivity process flows. And then marketing and sales. So we're going to look at it from a tool, from an application and platform perspective. So we've broken this out to online and offline, because many of us, me included, I will have online tools, but I'll also have things like a scheduler or a notebook, or a certain type of calendar. So you have your phone computer calendar like Outlook or Google Calendar. There is something called Toggle Track, which is a platform, and Harvest. So those are more like time management tools. Many of us just use a day planner book where we can just kind of flip open a page and look very quickly at the things that we need to do. People have utilized the Pomodoro app and the Pomodoro method, right? Take your time and set your task so that you have 20 minutes per. And the other thing to think about when you're thinking about time management, to hire a virtual assistant. Have somebody else do the work for you.
You hire a virtual. Is it someone who go online and what they advertise?
Yeah, so virtual assistants will advertise. I know if you are in any kind of networking group, whether it's online groups like Facebook, or many people are actually meeting online in networking groups. There'll be virtual assistants that are in those groups as well. Word of mouth. There are people who are utilizing virtual assistants, and I know anecdotally many of the people I know, there's 3 or 4 VAs that they work with, they highly recommend and communicate with. So yeah, there's many different ways. Fine. So the next area is financials and reporting. So people know about QuickBooks, FreshBooks, Xero, XERO, Wave. I actually personally use Wave accounting, and I've been using it for a long time. You can take receipts, scan them, put them into your online system, and you don't have to have a box of receipts. Spreadsheets, we mentioned that, Excel, Google Sheets. There's a spreadsheet platform called Numbers. And again, when you get to the point where you have to flip that switch, hiring a bookkeeper, an accountant, Larger organizations obviously have a whole team with the CFO. Even we use an accountant basically in one of my businesses only when it's tax time, because we know that it's something that we can't do. Right? We just want to have somebody who knows what the heck is going on with the numbers, can take a look at, check our work, so to speak, fill out the forms, submit it for us. And again, if there's any questions at all, I'm going to look online really quick as well. It also helps me when I'm on the correct page. Okay, so file organization and management. Again, I use Google Drive quite a bit. People often use Dropbox. There's Evernote is another one. There's one called Airtable, which helps with that. And then when we were thinking about backup solutions for your computer, right? And people still use filing cabinets. I actually do still use a filing cabinet because a lot of us, right, we really need, and I think it's really good to acknowledge. I think oftentimes people who know me think that I spend so much time in the online world that I don't do any of these offline things. And I actually do really need, we all do, right, for our brains, these kind of tactile, right, hand-eye coordination, movement, that sort of thing to remember. So filing cabinet, planners, notebooks, that sort of thing, just the habit of continuing, of writing like we're doing now, makes a big difference. Okay, and then there's project and task management. And those platforms are Basecamp and Asana. Those are really, really big, bulky platforms. Only if, like, I feel like working with very big teams. Yeah. Yeah. To manage. Yeah. So I think it really kind of depends. I think it's also possible to grow with platforms or programs. So the next in the series, Monday, ClickUp and Airtable. Monday is another one that a lot of organizations use. So it's good for one person in small organizations, but it's also good for larger. This one's called Monday. It's the first one and the second. Yeah, right here. ClickUp is another one. So ClickUp is very checklist kind of oriented. And Airtable is another one where you can just really bring in files as well. So it's actually, Meredith, this one's set up very much like an Excel or a Google Sheet. And it's just easier to bring images in as well and connect with team members, right? And also for that. That's also very easy. And that's the other thing too, right? Because it's hard to be productive if it's difficult to use the platform. So it's really thinking about what the platform, how user friendly. Mm-hmm.
I don't know before.
Yeah. Invest in something. Yeah. Yeah, so Google has templates as well. Google also has something called Jamboard for project and test. Yeah. So Jamboard. It's called Jamboard. It's one of those, it's not in the top tier of Google tools. So you kind of have to go into the more section to get to Jamboard, but I actually use it with my business partner at Branding. And one of the things I love is they have virtual Post-it notes on the board. So when you're doing brainstorming, or when you're trying to, in this case, when we're not meeting in person, where we can go up on a whiteboard or put Post-it notes up in that manner. We use the Jamboard, and you can have multiple slides or pages for a Jamboard, and you can have multicolored Post-it notes for different areas of the project or the strategy. And then your Post-it notes on one board, you move to the next board within that book of boards, and you can start mapping things out. So you can go from ideation to strategy to task to implementation all within the board. Yep. I'm thinking, yeah, that there is. So you can learn how to use it.
That's a good one.
Oh, okay. So here it is, communications and collaboration. Yeah. So there's G Suite, Office 365, right? Slack is very, I don't know how many Slacks I have. I think I have like 9 because I work with different teams. Google Jamboard, we just talked about, Google Teams, Zoom, Google Hangout, GoToMeeting, that sort of thing. And then just like a phone, right? Whiteboard, and then meeting. Teams is Microsoft. Microsoft has Teams. Yep. No. And then,
I was gonna ask,
do you want to go back? Yeah.
okay, in Discord.
Discord is another one. Yeah. It was interesting how I found that Discord was yeah, a good one. Marketing and sales, there's so many areas, right? And that this is really where you have your CRM system, right? So it's like HubSpot or Salesforce. There's other that are kind of like smaller that you can utilize. Websites, you have Squarespace, WordPress, Wix, Weebly. In the digital space, Facebook and Instagram, Google, LinkedIn, business cards. Actually, one of my colleagues had just posted in LinkedIn, when you give or receive a business card, if you receive a business card, you get 2. One is for you, and one is to give when you're giving out a referral. So if you meet somebody and you say, oh, give me your business, can you give me 2 of your business cards? And then you go out into the world and somebody says, hey, I need an accountant. I know somebody who's an accountant. They're in my networking group. Let me give you their card. And do the same thing for yourself as well. And oftentimes people will actually have on the back of their business card, take one for you and please give a referral as well, that sort of thing. So that's just something that we often forget, right? Because we're stuck in a route. Networking events, digital and in person. I found that the past year I've actually done more networking because I've done it online and to a wider audience, right? Because we're networking in person. It's those that are within our local area. When you're networking online, it's really aligning with people who have, similar. It's really been quite an eye-opener, and noticed that people are really thinking of network. I could do a whole thing on networking, how it's so different now. Making sure that you have marketing collateral, like a sales sheet, brochure, that sort of thing, things that are visual. And then We can help with that. I'm actually the entrepreneur in residence. My name is Giulia. Yeah. Okay. Nope, that's totally fine. And then again, if you're hiring somebody who's an appointment setter for you, who is as people are filling out forms on your website, or they're calling somebody who's there and can get basic information and set, not only set the appointment, right? Okay, it's going to be Tuesday at 10 o'clock p.m. So and so has an opening. But then have them be able to ask questions. Can I ask a little bit about what you're looking for? What does your business do? What are your goals? So that they have information. I know for me, there's a form on my Calendly which asks questions for people who want to have a 30-minute office hour session with me. So it's really just 30 minutes, so that it's really just I start to understand what people need, because 30 minutes is not a ton of time. If I know what somebody's really looking for, what they're prioritizing, I can help them with that. I actually use a program called Calendly. The library uses a program. Calendly, yes, C-A-L, yep. Yeah. Well, the thing about it is that it's really, again, we had talked about, is it really something that's simple to use, that's user friendly? Yeah, so you want. And for those of you who are online, I keep looking away because we're actually doing this in a hybrid manner. So we're having a conversation here within the library. And this is something that's really been happening a lot lately, not just in the library, but in other situations as well. Where if we have any sort of presentation, there's the opportunity to have it in the actual space and then online as well. So I want to just take this time to recap, and then I'll have like 10 minutes for questions. And the recap is, how do you integrate tools into your work and life for productivity, right? Remember why you want to be productive. This was something that I had talked about in the very beginning. Oftentimes we're like, well, we just want to be, I just want to get more done. But why do you want to get more done? What's the end result? And one of the things that you said was sales, right? All in all, you want to get more clients, you want to get more customers, you want to have sales. But part of the reason why you want to be productive too is because you actually want to live your life. there is some time, I talked a little bit about myself being a mom and how I have to prioritize not only my work, but my family as well. So how do we think about how productive we are? If we can get things done in 4 hours instead of dragging it out to 8 or 12 hours, we can, we have more time for ourselves. So remember why you want to be productive. Define your current workflow. And I had talked about from the moment you get up, a lot of people don't, I think don't understand, and especially in a very corporate capitalist type of world, they think of it as 9 to 5. But we know, as business owners, as writers, as artists, even as employees, we know that from the moment we get up, what's the first thing or second thing maybe that we think about after coffee, after is the baby crying, that sort of thing? We just start thinking about work. We check our emails. We think about what our work day is going to look like. So when we define our current workflow, maybe part of our current workflow is not to think about emails at 6:30 in the morning before we've had our coffees, to think about our emails at 9 a.m. when we sit down in front of our computers. Prioritize, declutter, and standardize, right? We always want to figure out, how do we remember to do this type of thing and make it very simple for ourselves? And that's really the way. Prioritize, declutter, standardize. And then just pick the right tools to integrate. And what that means is what are the things that are going to, be very easy for us, right? What's user friendly? We don't want productivity tools that are going to take time away because we have to spend so much time learning about the productivity tools. So that concludes the formal portion of this. And then I think either questions or a discussion for like the next 5 minutes. And then Jennifer, do you want me to stay online for a few more questions? If there's any questions online?
I only have one person.
The Zoom room?
And I don't remember anywhere on this.
Oh, maybe.
So I'm gonna just post it.
Perfect. Okay. And then I'll just, okay. So if you're seeing this video on Facebook, it's a recording of the live stream. And if you have any questions, just go ahead and post them in the comment section. And I'll keep an eye on the New Haven Free Public Library page, and I'll be sure to answer those questions for you. And I'm going to actually stop sharing online and we can converse here.
Are you advertising? Yeah. It's a local,
Yeah.
I don't know if that counts.
Yeah. So there's different, yeah, Patch. There's another one. I just Alignable is one that's more, it's more business focused. Oh, the Daily Nutmeg.
The Daily Nutmeg.
Yeah.
I like it better.
Yeah. The Daily Nutmeg is not free. And then I think the library. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we post on the Daily Nutmeg? Yeah, I think, yeah, and the New Haven Independent. Thanks.
Downtown, the Patch. Who's downtown? Is that for New Haven Market? Little mini neighborhood.
Oh, are you talking about next door?
No, there's next door. Oh, yes.
Next door is the app, I think.
Like if there's a door, I think. Oh, okay. So no, that's
Yeah.
not what but. Like if you had a little. The byline.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
it's-
absolutely.
And this is local, is it local? Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually called it's considered hyper local. But the thing is, once you have an account on Pad, you can choose your area. I think that's still the case.
Yeah.
Like there's one for like Orange, East Haven, so you can just check the boxes for whatever areas you're interested in.
So literally look at that.
Yep.
I don't. I never heard of it so much.
Yeah.
It just like